There is a method that you can use to select elements using CSS selectors. The query selector all, and also there is another method that works just like it, but it returns only the first element found, and it is the query selector method. Let's start off with the query selector all. Let's create a first variable to store all of the list items. Then here I do document.query selector all, and we give it li. Then let's console log the result, and great, we have 8 list items, 4 from the first list and 4 from the second one. Now what if we only want to select the list items of the first list? Here in my HTML we can see that the first list has this class name and the second one has this class name. If you want to select only the list items inside the first list, you would use the class selector for the first list, then we target the list items. With the query selector all, we can do this too. So I will do it. I will use the selector for the first list, then we add the list items, and now we only have the list items from the first list. You can use any selector that can be used in CSS. For example, we can use the first child selector, the last child selector, the nth child, and so on. Even if the result is one element, the query selector all always returns an array. This array can have multiple elements, just one element, or an empty array if it does not find your element. But if you use the query selector, this method only returns the first item it finds. For example, we use the query selector all to get all of the list items, so the result was an array of list items. But if we change it and use query selector, the result will be one element. The first element it finds will be returned. In this case, it returns the first element from the first list, because it is the first one it finds. So let's go back to the query selector all and select the list items from the second list. Let's attach an event listener to each one using a for loop. And now if we click on the list items from the first list, well, nothing happens. But if we click on the list items from the second list, we have this message. Great.